Flight 12 coming soon, targeting Tuesday, the 19th of the next week. That's no earlier than. Hopefully, it'll be going that day. We got boosters at the production site. We got the ship at the production site going final preparations for launch. So stay with us here. We are going to cover it all.
And here we go.
There's the deluge. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, you know.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, that sure looks like a perfect flow.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
We did have an observation.
Equalize.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center. Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my God.
Yikes. You bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Welcome, one and all, to Countdown for Launch from NASASpaceflight, NSF. We are here to cover the upcoming launch of Starship Flight 12. And here to discuss it with me, live and in person, is Alex. Hello, Alex. How are you?
Well, it's quite an exciting day here as we count down to launch, I guess. We don't have any vehicles yet on the pad. They just came back from a little bit of full stack testing, but that means we're gonna get them out there a little bit closer to launch than usual. Not a new thing, because we've seen that in previous flights, but hey, that's sort of the thing. But yeah, lots of things to talk about today.
Oh, no kidding. And joining us also is Ryan Caden. Thanks for joining us, Ryan.
Lots to get into. Thanks for joining us. Let's talk about Starship.
Hey, let's do that. So where we stand here is we've had booster 12 19 has gone out. We've done cryo tests. We've done full stack wet dress rehearsal. What's next? Alex, can you tell us what's down the road here? What's going to be happening the next few days?
Yeah, literally down the road from this view, I guess, because we have Booster 19 and Ship 39 have been rolled back to their respective base. Obviously, the boosters go back to Megabay 1 and the ships go back to Megabay 2. And so right now we are waiting to see when they may come back. They just came back from a really intense week of testing. Booster 19 got its 33 engine static fire test, and then later on, Ship 39 was rolled out, stacked on Booster 19 for the very first time, and we had a wet dress rehearsal just this Monday. So yesterday we had that rollback of both vehicles. They were removed from pad 2, basically. I was about to say pad 1 there for a second. They were rolled back, and now that we're basically waiting for SpaceX to sort of roll them back out again for the final time for launch. Basically, they needed a few more sort of pieces of work to be done on those vehicles, basically, and that's why they were rolled back. We already knew that. We were expecting that sort of thing. As soon as Booster 19 rolled out, we already saw that there was a few more pieces of work left to do on that vehicle, right? Ship 39, the same thing. It didn't roll out with the Starlink simulators, which we'll talk about that in a minute, right? And so this is sort of the thing that we expected. It's not a lot of work, which is why they're targeting next Tuesday, right? But a little bit of delays here and there could still make that date shift a little bit to the right in the calendar as we get sort of closer and closer. Other than that, we are basically just waiting on that sort of thing. We had a bunch of information dropped by SpaceX, which we'll also talk about. But yeah, it's just a bit of waiting time here. We might see some other type of action that we may also talk about. Maybe Ship 39 might come out and not go to the pad. In fact, we'll discuss that. But yeah, we're just in a waiting mode right now.
Very good. And I want to remind everybody to tag @NSF or @NASASpaceflight in the chat, and that will bring your questions into a wonderful piece of software we have called the panel. We will go through those questions. We'll try to answer as many as we can in the time allotted. So please do. And we'd be, like I said, we got the pros here that are going to be working on getting you the answers. Ryan, there's a lot of regulatory information that needs to come out. Notice to airmen, notice to marine. What are those, and have we seen any of those yet?
We have been seeing plenty of hazard zones start to pop up, both on the launch side of the equation and the re-entry side of the equation, because of course the airspace, the sea space, the land space, all of the space needs to be cleared out of the way for the launch of Starship and the re-entry of Starship should anything go wrong. Remember, this might be the 12th flight of Starship, but it is the first flight of this generation of the vehicle. The only things that really carry over from Starship Flight 2, version 2, is the stainless steel and the name. Everything else is different. So we have been seeing hazards coming in for the air and sea.
Very good. Question here. I got to answer this one from Ziggy. Who's the old guy? Hey, it's me. I'm Roger. I'm Roger Smith. I've been with NSF for quite a while. Started down there with SBL and running the cameras and stuff. And like I say, I'm my job for the flights is to cook. So I cook the meals for everybody, keep everybody satisfied here. And let me do just a few things coming out here real quick. We got negative Ascent specialist jumping in before it goes live. Thank you to Let's Go SpaceX. Thank you NSF. What do you think the chances are we get on the dumplings this time? Alex, maybe I'll shoot that one your way. I think there's been some FCC regulations and some information come out. What do you think? Are we going to get some camera views from the dumplings?
Well, now we actually have the confirmation from SpaceX that at least 2 of the 22 Starlink satellite simulators will carry cameras and will actually inspect the thermal protection system on the ship. So I actually chose this background on purpose because it shows the sort of white tiles. It's sort of like all peppered around the sides and even the nose cone and everything of the ship. And those are actually for, I guess, some kind of pattern recognition sort of thing that they may be running on those cameras. Those satellites are going to be inspecting the thermal protection system of the ship and sort of train for potentially future flights, basically be able to use that sort of thing to be able to inspect a ship before it returns from orbit. Because in the future, ships will be returning from orbit. It's not going to be this whole suborbital trajectory and we dump it in the Indian Ocean, right? It's going to come back from orbit, and it's going to go through the entirety of like West Coast and the border with Mexico and all that stuff. And there's a lot of people down there. If this ship breaks up, that is not a great thing. And so having a tool that allows them to be able to inspect the tiles before they commit to that landing, say you are in orbit, right? You're like, okay, well, I want to deorbit my vehicle, but I don't know if it's going to survive re-entry. Well, let's look at it. And if it actually looks good, let's do the re-entry, right? And then go ahead with that. If not, then they can dump it in another ocean, like the Pacific Ocean, the Indian Ocean. They have many old different places to be able to do that. But that's basically what they're doing with those cameras. We had seen already, as you mentioned, that communications permit a few months ago. So it was not a huge surprise that there were cameras involved here in these satellites. But it was rather interesting, the fact that it's 22 Starlink simulators this time around instead of 10. I think it was the most that we saw with version 2, which is really nice because that means it's heavier. It's a heavier payload. It's more than they have already launched on Starship, and that sort of puts a little bit more of a stress, if you will, on the system. It doesn't really. It's more like it's closer to the. To what eventually will go. Eventually, it's going to be like 60 of them, but yeah.
Yeah, and I want to thank Negative Ascent Specialist for the $20 super chat. Thank you very much. We put all this back into the systems. It's not only the cameras, it's all the infrastructure that does that. It's these camera sites take a lot of abuse from the environment and the sand and the seawater and upkeep. So, we appreciate all that. It really helps us out. Alex, kind of along that same line with the dumplings going out and then the number of them, is there going to be an increase in the speed to get out? I know in the first flights they had some issues getting the dumplings out of the Pez dispenser, but do you think they're increasing, the exit rate on version 3?
Yeah, in fact, so on version 2, they explained that it was about 1 minute, more or less, per row of satellites or something like that. For this one, they are deploying twice the number of satellites in about the same time. So it's about twice the speed. And they actually explain in another page some of the upgrades that they have done to the pest dispenser. And they talk about, upgrades to that electrical system and the actuators and everything to be able to be faster. So it looks, at least from the timeline, that even though it's carrying 22 Starlink simulators, it's about the same time as before. So basically twice the speed of the previous version. So that's really nice because, the previous version meant that for deploying a full stack of 60 satellites, and that meant a full hour of waiting, right? At least now it's like, well, maybe it might be just half an hour, which is quite a nice thing because it gives you enough time that half an hour, it's like a third of an orbit, right? It still gives you a bit of leeway there to be able to do a deorbit burn or something like that at the end of that. 1 hour, you probably need a full orbit until you actually can do all that, right? Because it takes a longer time. But yeah, it's really nice.
All right, very good. And continuing on, want to give a thank, Grizzly, Boop, yeah, Boop back at you, to Eurochat. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Eric, thank you, my friend. I'll somehow get you food eventually. We got Mike Original. I've been waiting since countdown to launch. Excited to see this again. We are too. I mean, it's getting this is always the exciting time. We wait. Everybody's got their auto refresh going on. When are we going to get something from SpaceX? When are we get the NOTAMs out? When we get the Not Mars out? We're getting there, and it's coming closer and closer. People are making travel plans. We got the team showing up down at Starbase for NSF, trying to bring you the best coverage that we possibly can. And that was a $25 super chat. Thank you very much. That's very generous. Thank you so much. We got Mike Original giving 10 Red Team memberships. Thank you. If you're new to the channel, and what happens with gifting memberships is randomly. The person gets a 1 month membership for NSF's content. And there's a lot of behind the scenes content for the membership program. And just at the basic level, we do multi-views showing multiple screens for launches and events, things like that. There's photographs and all kinds of stuff. So I hope you will enjoy that. It's such a great little perk for joining us and sticking out with us. And hopefully you're getting more than you're paying for it. Let's see, we got from Tim, these things are like Pokemon. You got to catch them all. I hope so. We're not going to be catching yet, but not too far down the road, hopefully. And we got Wonder What's Next with a $15 super chat. Thank you very much. As always, thanks for everything you guys do. Appreciate that you like our content and that. We got some great writers. We got Alex and Ryan there. We got a bunch of others here. And thanks to Chris Bergen, who started this whole thing, 20 years ago? And now we're going on. We're full live stream and loving every minute of it. Ryan got one here from Stephen Lewis. He's talking about the trajectory for Flight 12. It's going more south than it was. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So instead of threading the needle between like Florida and Cuba, this time around it's threading the needle between the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico and Cuba. So it's going a little bit more south this time than what we've seen before, but it still has a pretty clear run to get out of that vicinity of the Caribbean. It might need to do a little dogleg maybe, but to be perfectly honest with you, by the time it reaches, those kind of outer islands of the Caribbean, it's probably going to be, far enough on its trajectory already that should anything happen, of course, it's traveling so fast that if let's just say it explodes directly over Jamaica, for example, it's not all going to fall directly down onto Jamaica. It's going to keep on heading out towards the Atlantic Ocean and then beyond to the Indian Ocean, depending how fast it is going at that point. So it is not really something I think they're going to be too worried about on that part, because it is still a pretty clear run to the north of Cuba, where they've gone before, and to the south of Cuba, where they want to go this time.
Very good. Yeah, albeit. God, is that you?
Oh, sorry, did that go to... I thought... yeah, I'm never sure when Kevin talks in my ear if that actually goes to the stream or not, but Kevin did just tell me that I just jinxed it. I hope I didn't jinx it, but yeah. Fingers crossed everything goes well. But it's V3. Who knows?
And with that, right now, if you can address this one, or I'll get over to Alex. About the launch license. Every launch needs its own license. Are there any special changes that we need for Flight 12 in the version 3 vehicle?
So I went over the launch license because there were some people that were pointing out to me that, well, maybe they don't need to change it because it's super generic. So there's like a set of things that it authorizes, right? And it's very we're about to show that soon, so don't worry. But like it shows using the Starship Super Heavy vehicle, right? It's very generic. But then there is one point where it does say for the mission profile presented in the application, right? And in that case, there we go. And I actually went to the page in particular where, and sort of, I this is like a screenshot that I did at the time, and I put in a box the things that I think might need change. And so you can see there for the mission profile represented in the application, unless the application also included Flight 12, which I really doubt, that is the one that was used for Flights 10 and 11, basically, back in August. That was the one. And then 5 and 6, what they do is they add some extra environmental mitigations and measures and things like that from a different sort of mitigation that they did back in between flights. Was it 9? No, ahead of Flight 9, excuse me. Yeah, ahead of Flight 9. If you remember Flights 7 and 8, they had this horrible breakup of the Starship over the Turks and Caicos. And what happened is that the FAA decided to extend the hazard areas well beyond that. And in order to do that, they needed to do a new environmental assessment just for that and things like that. And they added all that stuff to this. For this new profile that we're seeing on Flight 12, it's going to the southeast. They also did a separate environmental assessment. It's already complete, so don't worry about that. It was completed many months ago. And we've covered this on previous Starship updates and live streams, etc., etc. So all of that, it's done. It just needs to be actually reflected here. So that is the additional measures thing as well. It sort of compiles all of the different modifications and things like that. The other option is that SpaceX just applies for a clean sheet sort of thing, and instead of having all of those sort of tacked together, it's just one clean thing, and it's just, I don't know, one line or something like that, sort of like the 4 there for the mission profile represented in the application, right? But I think at least these 3 things will have to change at the very least. I'm not fully sure if that's been done already and we're just waiting for the paperwork to come out, but that's basically the only things that will need change for the license to apply to Flight 12.
Well, very good. Thanks, Alex. And that was from Gwen Ever. Gwen, always in our chats down at SBL, always informative. And this great thing about this community is you don't have to be, a veteran to hang out here with us. If you have questions, even if you think they're basic questions, like in our live streams, we got Starbase Live, we got Space Coast Live, we even got McGregor if you want to sit around and watch engines fire all day, which is awesome. But ask your questions. We got a great community that would be more than happy to answer them. You get a lot of good information. I'm always learning something when I'm in there. We got a question here, if I can find it here for Ryan, because geography a lot better probably than Alex and I do. Ziggy is wondering about the island of Grenada, and I vaguely know where that's at. Do you think they would be able to see it? It's probably going to be close to evening or dark by that time, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about this kind of launch window is we're getting an evening launch window once again, which, I'm personally a bigger fan of the evening launches than the morning launches. I don't know about you, Roger, watching in person, but, no matter where you are in the world, for those morning launches, it felt like we all had to stay up overnight.
Yeah, we all did a number of those. And it was, I just remember the first launch. It's like, I don't think I slept like for 48 hours because we were just so pumped to find out what that was going to be like, and getting up in the morning and watching that thing go. And every time is great, but I got to say, from a sleep standpoint, hopefully with everybody, the evening, afternoon launches are good. Well, and then what we're hoping for, time wise, if we could see a Starship Jellyfish, SpaceX, if you're watching, just asking here, or nighttime launch would be just sick on that.
Mm-hmm.
So then, speaking of launches here,
well, I can still answer the question, but I was just alluding to the fact that the the evening launches are much more preferred on our part. It also means that there'll be a bit more side lighting. We saw, I'm not sure if it was the previous flight or flight, it might have been flight 11, I think. But D was down in the Florida Keys and got the shot of Starship's plume going over the horizon, because it was being backlit by the sun, but the sun had already set in that part of Florida. And, you know, Grenada is a little bit further down than the Florida Keys. I would be hesitant to say you'll definitely see something, but if there is off-gassing or the ship is using its RCS thrusters or something like that, and the ship is still illuminated by the sun, then possibly, I wouldn't rule it out. But remember, this is about like an hour launch window still, so the sun can still go a little bit further over the limb of the Earth by the time they actually get around to launching. So I wouldn't rule it out. It's a possibility, but I wouldn't bet on it.
Good. So, and everybody out there that's watching this, we love you to get your pictures, get it on our socials. We got all kinds of socials out there, Facebook, X, blue screen. Anyway, they're out there. You'll find us. I appreciate it for putting up with me, guys. Anyway, and Alex, I got a question here from EJ Cousin, who's in the Rock. Oh, that's a cool name. Talking about the Ascent on Flight 12, and we've seen, you know, the timeline from SpaceX on their site. And he's wondering if they do pad avoidance maneuver. And kind of with that, we've got Macho Sacco is asking about max Q and SECO. That's engine cutoff on that. Max Q is the maximum aerodynamic pressure that the vehicle will experience going in flight. With those timelines, can you speak to those? Is it because it's a new version that those are happening sooner? Any other things that will change on the Ascent?
Yeah, so to tackle the first question, I guess that's actually easier. We might see a pad avoidance maneuver. It's now easier because, hey, I can point back to here, see? And so the part that usually gets roasted, it's the part that is sort of closer to the tower, because if you're the rocket, it will be sort of, you know, pointing out, and so the exhaust sort of angles the other way back, right? Even though it's traveling in this other direction. The QDs, the booster quick disconnects, are now located here. So this is a little bit further back. So this one over here is for the liquid oxygen quick disconnect, and the other one is for the liquid methane quick disconnect for the booster. And so if it flies out, now those will not get roasted if it does a pad avoidance maneuver, because, you know, the things are on the back of the tower. They are not there, basically. It also has the top deluge, right, which we did not see on the previous pad. That's a very important upgrade, but it might. We really don't know. We'll have to wait until actual launch to be able to see that. One of the differences with this version versus the previous one is that I'm really sure that this time around the rocket can actually be held down, unlike the previous version of the pad. Because on the previous version of the pad, the pad clamps actually released like half an hour to 40 minutes before the launch, and what held it down was basically its weight. It was getting loaded with propellants, right? It was getting very heavy, and until you light the engines, it cannot take off. And it actually lit the engines at like 50% thrust, and T0 was that commit of, you know, throttling up to 100% so that it will lift off, and then the liftoff will happen at 2 seconds past T0. But if you look here, liftoff is actually at 0. So I'm really sure that for this time around, for this pad, especially because we saw this on the static fire that they did with Booster 19 last week, they can actually hold down the rocket with this new upgraded version. So they were able, for example, last week to test Booster 19 at full thrust, which is a thing that we did not see on pad 1, because pad 1, again, it could not do a full thrust static fire test of the booster, whereas now they can do that on pad 2. That is very valuable, because again, it's very important to test those first 10 seconds out of the pad, right? And being able to hold it down, then it means the rocket just shoots off, right? Instead of slumbering off the pad, as we saw in the past, it's going to shoot off and actually gain speed quite faster. Raptor 3, of course, being more powerful, that is very useful as well. And of course, that means max Q is earlier because it's going faster, and so that essentially makes you go through the atmosphere a little bit quicker. The max Q sort of occurs a little bit earlier. So that's essentially why. And yeah, Seco is also like almost a minute earlier, which is really, really nice. Like 40 seconds or so.
Just a tribute to all the changes they've gone into this new vehicle. I forget which stream it's been on. We're getting a bunch of them going here. If for all you Trekkies out there, they equated version 2 as NCC 1701. This is NCC 1701-A. So kind of the same, but much better. Okay, we got Walter. Thank you for the store message. Hopefully you got something cool there. And saying keep up the good coverage. It's our pleasure. We're going to try to do the best we can for you all out there. Anonymous got something at the store here, and appreciate that. We got a great store. And we'll probably talking about that later on, but some cool stuff that's out there. Hoping version 3 goes higher than version 2, hopefully higher and all the way around in the not too distant future with a ship. I can't wait for a ship orbit. And we have another store message. Thank you guys. Reminds me of the days watching Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo launches. This may be as a shock to you, but I'm at least 2 or 3 years older than Alex and Ryan. And I remember some Gemini. I remember Apollo. This is what's got me so excited. Yeah, just a bit, Ryan. Just anyway, in Apollo, when you go from like Apollo 7 to Apollo 11, that was done in 8 months this show. So you had 3 flights to the moon, plus you had Apollo 12 in October. You had basically the equivalent of Artemis 3 happened in, I believe it was March or April timeframe. You had Apollo 7, it was in October. I mean, the speed at that time was just an incredible thing to experience. We're seeing that now. This is a renaissance in space flight. It's not only SpaceX, it's Blue Origin, it's Stoke Aerospace, it's Rocket Lab, it's all these companies, and it's just so exciting. It's if you want to, by all means, pursue engineering, whatever you want in the sciences. If you want to get involved in this industry, now is the time. There is so many opportunities out there, and it's just exciting to watch. And it's not only that. We see down in Starbase, the trades. Look at that GSE unit, the piping, that cryogenic fuels go in that thing. 5,000 tons in 30 minutes into this thing, and all those valves got to work, all the electronics got to work. Those pads have to be built with steel workers. You see bulldozers and stuff. Well, I digress on this, but again, I don't know if I can say how excited I am for this era in spaceflight, and it's just so fun being part of it. A quick one here from Meat Plays. Will this stream continue all the way to launch? This particular one won't. We've actually got a supply mission going down from Florida today back to the space station. So that'll be launching maybe an hour and a half or so. Is that correct, guys? Anyway, shortly. Yep. This stream will end, but we've got lots of stuff planned for the launch coverage, pre-launch and post-launch. We've also out there, we got placeholders out there for the actual launch day. I believe it's at 7:30 a.m. Central Daylight Time. We have it's what kind of our pregame. It's the countdown to launch, and we do a number of hours in there talking about what's coming up, and then we switch over to the actual live stream for the best coverage you can probably find on the internet of this launch. So be on the lookout for those, and looking forward to having you join us.
And it's already on our channel, in fact, so anybody can just go there and enable the little bell. Yeah,
get your bell icons going. I got to do the obligatory like and subscribe so you get all the notifications for this. And plus, it really does help us out, folks. It keeps those spam numpty channels out of there. All right, let's go with this one. This is always a fun one. I want to hear from chat, too. What do you think? Flight 12, what are you looking for in this flight? What's going to be exciting? What do you plan to see? Ryan, let's start with this. What's your anticipation?
I don't want to set expectations low, but just a clean Ascent, and I want to see version 3 work, because we have been waiting so long for Starship to just work, and it feels like the bare minimum requirement. But of course, this is a hardware-rich program. SpaceX isn't afraid to blow things up in the name of science, in the name of hardware engineering, in the name of optimizing this vehicle to the most optimal state it can be. But for, over 3 years now, it's been, don't worry about that problem, we'll fix it in the next version. Don't worry about that problem, we'll fix it in the next version. And we've gotten to the point now where version 3 is the version which is going to be the human landing system for Artemis. It is going to be deploying Starlink satellites and later customer satellites into Earth orbit. This is the version of Starship which is meant to accelerate this program to things that humanity has never seen before. It has to work. We can't spend 2026 like we spent 2025 doing loop-de-loops over the skies of South Texas and burning up a pod re-entry. This thing has to work off the bat. So just seeing a nice, clean, faultless mission is what I'm really excited to see, because, SpaceX has been putting hours, days, weeks, months, years of time into making sure every single component of these vehicles is correct. Same with the launch pad, same with the GSE. I just want them to get it right, and I'm feeling confident that they will be able to do that. But again, excitement is guaranteed. We don't know for sure what's going to happen when they light the engines.
Oh, so Alex, what's your expectations? What would you like to see for Flight 12?
Oh boy. I want to see everything. I just want to see everything working. And that, so for all we know, it's going to be very similar to Flight 11's profile, right? The few minor changes is just, it's a southeast trajectory. It's using version 3 and Pad 2, of course. But what I mean here is that the mission profile, it's not going to the moon. It's not, doing much more fancy stuff. It's just basically the same trajectory to the Indian Ocean. I'm really excited about them flying more Starlinks, doing all of that tile inspection with those two simulators, right? I want to see again that ship entry and going through the atmosphere, because this time around there's only one missing tile, and I think it's even here. Hang on. There we go. It's like that little hole there. It's only one single tile missing. This will be, for the first time in many flights, that we'll see a ship with an almost clean heat shield. Right? Because every single prior ship had missing tiles somewhere. Many missing tiles, like not just one, dozens of them, even sometimes hundreds, right? So I'm really excited about the actual entry to see how a mostly clean, just one single tile missing. That's basically a clean ship, basically. And I just want to see what comes out of that. And seeing again the ship doing those, banking maneuvers and everything, and imagining that, it's gonna go and land on a catch tower and things like that. Like, that's the sort of thing I really want to see, because it will be sort of the new thing. Again, also take into account that this is version 3, right? But putting aside the version 3 whole thing, I'm really looking forward to that, because I really want to see a clean ship going through re-entry.
I'm with you there, Alex. That's going to be the exciting thing. I don't want a Flight 4 where the flap is just barely hanging on. We're rooting for it and everything. I want to see this thing come through clean, with minimal damage coming in, hopefully no damage coming in, because that's going to bode well for future flights to pick up the cadence, because they really need to pick up the cadence to get to Artemis 3. I mean, we need to have refueling going on hopefully soon. Maybe we'll see that. We need to get a ship to orbit, for Pete's sake. And hopefully we'll get that. Maybe Flight 13, we'll have to see what SpaceX and how confident they are in there. We need to see ships coming down and being caught. We're going to see vehicles being put on a barge. You got a nice, you go to Space Coast Live, you'll see that barge out there. They're going to be shipping vehicles out to Florida, and hopefully we get a flight from there. So it's, it's really hoping this goes well so they can pick up the cadence and get these things flying a lot sooner than later here. Going to go with Daniel. Quick shout out. Thank you. Got a store match. Got something. Got tickets to Rocket Ranch for Flight 12. Awesome. Rocket Ranch is one of our great partners. They're great folks over there. If you don't know, Rocket Ranch has a view, just this beautiful clear view from about 3.5 miles away from the launch pad. When you're there, you not only see the launch, you get the full brunt of it. It hits you. It literally shakes you to the bone. And from there, you can see the vehicle ascend up through hot staging. You see the orange glow come out of hot staging there. You see the ship separate. You see the booster doing its return to the launch site. And eventually we're going to have, catching again. And when that happens, that's just surreal to see it from there. But yeah, shout out to Rocket Ranch. And I'm glad you're going to get there. Just an awesome place, awesome folks over there. And then we've got a super chat here from Telstar. Do you expect to see orange heat shield again when it splashes down? Or will the complete heat shield help stop that from happening? I'm assuming, Alex, he's talking about the ship. So we had some, you mentioned the tiles earlier. We had some different tiles, some metallic tiles that looked like they caused the orange coating that came down as the ship came down. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, that was installed, I think, for Flight 10, and then for Flight 11, they did not install them. It did not go as well as they expected, right? Because they wanted to use those metallic tiles for the sides of the ship so that when it's caught, they don't break tiles, right? And also to not have... Currently on the sides, they have only ablative material. That is not great for reusability. And so what you want is some kind of tile that can also sustain, the impact of those two chopsticks as the ship is being caught. And so they installed those metallic tiles and they rusted away during re-entry. It's like 15 minutes in high oxygen concentration atmosphere plasma, right? And so it got rusted away. It splattered orange all over the heat shield. So I don't expect that this time around. We saw that for Flight 11 where the ship was considerably less orange. Let's put it that way, right? And so I do expect that sort of thing for Flight 12 as well, that we will not see any orange at all. I think, in fact, the orange that we saw on Flight 11 was because there were a lot of missing tiles, and it was probably the steel of the ship itself being melted and sort of rusted away. But yeah.
And also orange we've seen on the booster coming down on version 2, it would glow orange on there. Do you think we'll see something like that again on the version 3?
You mean
Is that for me or was that for Alex?
Yeah. Is that for Ryan or for me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Alex, I just go continue with you.
What glow did you mean again?
It's okay. In version 2, we saw the booster coming down as it's doing its descent just before landing burn. Yeah, and the engine underneath.
The engine section. It might not, because this time around they don't have the heat shield sort of thing that they had on the previous version, which caused the air to sort of accumulate there and be trapped and be compressed basically, and that's perhaps what happened there. They were also using cork for some of the thermal material, which is not great. It's good for, when you start to get things underway and things like that. Falcon 9 used it for a long time as well, early on, and then they moved on to other materials. But yeah, we probably won't see that this time around. We'll see. Ironically, we saw that with New Glenn on the third flight. I remember Mr. Rankin was very surprised about that as well. I was surprised too that we saw that in the moment. I think maybe because that particular booster entry, like I feel in my soul that they were probably trying already a much more aggressive entry with that booster already, since they had already recovered another booster prior to that. So they were probably coming in a little bit more hot, and that's what produced the plasma, because we had not seen that on the second flight of New Glenn. But really interesting. New Glenn has the same thing, right? It's got the sort of engine bay as well, where maybe the air can get trapped and things like that. Maybe that's also why it's happening there. Version 3 of Starship with the Super Heavy, you have basically an empty, a clear area for the air to flow, right? You don't have any pockets or anything like that. Here we can see a very nice show there of the 3 different versions, version 1, 2, and 3 by Max. And so it doesn't have that sort of thing. Maybe the air, we'll definitely see that hopefully on this flight, but it might not, which is weird, that we may only have the pepperoni pizza sort of thing on version 2 and version 1.
Very good. And before I get kicked off this stream and any future streams, I've got to give a shout out to the one, the only producer extraordinaire, Mr. Kevin Michael Reed. Kevin, my apologies. I should have been bowing to you earlier today, but always a great job for you and all the production team that's out there. Ryan, I got one here from Cyber. Nope. Apologize. LA No 61. Wet dress rehearsal. We just gone through a wet dress rehearsal, a couple of them here with the stack. The vehicles are back at the production site, getting final fit out. Maybe there'll be some testing. We're trying to see what's going to happen with the ship. But once that's all said and done, they roll it back out for a final stack. And you think they would go through with another static fire? Not a static fire, but a wet dress rehearsal?
I wouldn't rule it out, but I have my doubts. I think they've now done that full tanking test. They're confident in the vehicle. I mean, obviously, if they spot something at the production side that they want to, check out, give it a good twirl at the pad, go ahead and do it. But if they don't see anything that, is broken or damaged or needs replacing at the production site, then they don't need to. They've already proven the other day they can fully tank this vehicle in like 35 minutes or something ridiculous like that, right? They've proven that these systems work. So if they can save the time and, save the propellant, that's a lot of propellant they need to load onto the vehicle, then they can just get straight into a launch attempt, fingers crossed as soon as the 19th, because, technically a launch attempt is just a wet dress rehearsal, which they light the engines at the end of, it's pretty much the same process. So I wouldn't rule it out, just in case they need to do another one. But I really think the next time they tank the vehicle is going to be for launch.
Yeah, it's again, got a new vehicle, new launch system. Again, a lot of testing's been going there. I think they're being really, really careful with this one, and we'll see how they go. But I think they're going to go when they're ready. They really want this thing to go well so they can go down the road. They can show to the HLS team, the Human Landing System team, that they are making significant progress so they can go towards Artemis 3. One thing we got here at NASASpaceflight is just this incredible store. I got to give a shout out to Lindsay Ray. She, is the person really behind this store. Always for Flight 12, for this flight and every flight, every time we get a stack, we get a patch that goes out and for every flight. And if we can show that, and this is the patch for Flight 12. So it's not just a pretty picture, there's meaning in this. So we're showing that you're seeing the vehicle, the version 3 vehicle coming in there, and below it are the Methalox, methane and liquid oxygen exhaust coming out in the mock diamonds. They come out like in a purplish color. And when these launches, you will definitely see that. We also got a new launch tower. This is Pad 2, as we call it, in there. That's brand new. It's the prototype for all the new towers going up, the ones in Pad 39A, and we got 2 more going up in Florida. They're going to be popping up all over the place, and we can't wait for that. We got the Legacy launch tower, Pad 1. That we've had 11 flights from. It did awesome. They learned so much from that tower. We also got the new launch mount and the flame trench. And we've seen the static fires and looking so much for launch, how that flame trench works. That's just an incredible improvement over that. And then we got the flame deflection coming out of there. So that's all the symbolism in there. Get them now. When they're done, they're done. But we also have pins that are out there. We've got T-shirts. We've got mugs. We have, if I can get it up on the screen, with etched glasses that you can put whatever you want to in there. I won't coach you in any way what could go in there and what should not. We got T-shirts, hoodies. We got kids stuff. We got baby kids stuff. We got stickers and sunshirts. I just got my stickers. I'm so happy with that. And we got mugs. So check it out. We got some great stuff. We got a great shop team. If anything's amiss, get a hold of them. They'll fix it for you. So check it out. And again, we're going to have metal prints coming there. I can't wait for those. I know we're going to have Max and D and a bunch of, all our great photographers out there. So you'll be seeing them come. We also got them out there. Max has taken some wonderful prints. He did one for Mother's Day. I don't know if we got that one up there with the flower. I love that print. That is just so cool. And just shout out to Max if you're listening, dude. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Guys sound like Rocky.
You said mugs?
Yeah.
I also have the Flight 12 mug.
Oh,
and
mug.
the shirt. I think Ryan also has the shirt as well. But yeah, mug. I'm already drinking today from this mug.
We're sporting the merch. Yeah, So yeah, check it out. We got some great stuff there. Let's see what else here we got here. We're gonna do a couple thank yous here to Blue Casher. Did a super chat. Thank you very much. Appreciate all the support for there. And Bideford, yes, Bideford, thank you. Kevin Michael Reed and Alex and Ryan Rogers, thank you. It's our pleasure to do this. Looking forward to many more. More launches, more better. And see, Bluecaster with a super chat. Quick question: is the second tower SpaceX Starbase actually taller than the first one? And will the quick disconnect arm be raised for for future starships? Brand, maybe I'll give you a first stab at this one, and maybe go to Alex if you have any additional stuff.
Yeah, so the tower is taller, smidge. I mean, if you're looking at this shot, you won't be able to actually see the difference. I mean, from this shot, technically, Pad 2 is closer, so Pad 2 does look bigger. But if you were looking at them from the same distance, you wouldn't be able to tell. It is slightly taller, but it's so tall to begin with. Any addition in height is really difficult to tell unless you exactly line up the schematics. But technically, the launch mount is a little bit more sunk into the ground. They actually excavated out a trench this time. They didn't just plop a thing on the ground and called it a day and then had a concrete tornado. So they have an actual flame trench this time, which they've dug out. So everything's sunk down a little bit further. So even though it's taller, it doesn't actually get any taller than Pad 1 in terms of the actual vehicle in comparison, even though the tower is just a little bit taller. I'm sure Alex has many more details than I do.
Yeah, I don't know if we can show again that comparison shot from Max where you can see the 3 stacks, and actually the stack is sitting lower than the previous 2 stacks with the previous 2 versions, and you can literally see that everything is actually lower. The quick disconnect arm is actually lower on the tower compared to the one on Pad 1, and in fact, the original quote unquote original locations for that comparison shot, you can actually see the QD arm is a little bit lower than the rest. And even like if you look at the tip of the ship compared to the roof of the tower, it's actually lower. To be fair, as you said, Ryan, it's like 1 meter and a little bit more taller than the previous tower, but it's a considerable change. In fact, the change in between versions 2 and 3, you can see that the chopsticks actually sit lower on compared to version 1. In version 1, they're basically almost all the way up on the tower if you look at the carriage system attached to the tower. And then if you look at versions 2 and 3, they're basically at the same height, both. Even though version 3, the lifting points are higher, basically, but because of the changes in how lower the full stack is sitting, then it's basically at the same height at the end of the day. So whenever they go and have to stretch the booster, for example, in the ship, so the booster gets stretched, then you have to move up the quick disconnect arm. The original mounts for the original height, basically the one that we see on Tower 1, it's still there. Those connections are still there. They will just need to remove the current arm and basically move it up that sort of little bit up, and it will still be able to support up to the heights that they are planning for the booster. Because again, the ship quick disconnect goes right at the bottom, so it doesn't matter how long they stretch the ship. It doesn't care, right? It's the booster that you actually care for that. And the booster is supposedly stretching like another 5, maybe 6 meters more. And so once they get to that, they can basically just, relocate the quick disconnect arm. And then for the chopstick side of thing, they can just move the lifting points on the ship, just be actually down, and then stretch the further part. And they still have much more of the tower to go until they hit the top. So really, really cool to see that comparison, because it really shows exactly what we talk about many times, that you don't really need a taller tower.
Very good. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the evolution is of this vehicle. Again, excitement's going to be guaranteed down the road here. And Ryan, maybe I'll run this one by you. New hot stage, I get ring, we're going to call it. The previous ones were detachable. This one's incorporated into the booster. The version 2 had, I believe, a deflection area for the boost back. This one doesn't. How are they going to do that for the flip and burn?
To me, yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. So this is basically just randomness. If you imagine throwing darts, right, and sort of randomly throwing them, you have a really smooth distribution if you throw a lot of them, and of course you have to remove them later. But you sort of with a Sharpie and everything, you have a smooth distribution. That's basically what happens if you were to ignite the ship engines and not even care about the timings. Like you just say, engines ignite, right? And so the ship just pushes in a random direction. There's like little fluctuations on when exactly some of the engines actually produce the full thrust. And so that's essentially what creates that randomness. And what happened on version 2 between flights 9, 10, 11 was they closed off part of that hot staging ring in order to be able to turn that randomness into a direction, right? In order to flip the booster in a controlled manner. But what if instead you just remove that randomness in the first place? You don't have that problem anymore, right? So that's what they're doing with version 3. They're just telling the ship engines to ignite in a certain way to push the booster in the way that it needs to go so that it is a controlled push, right? And so that's basically it. They don't need a closure of the hot staging ring or anything like that. They just tell the ship engines to just light up in this way so that the booster is pushed this other way. That's as simple as that, basically.
Yeah, it'll be Ryan, I'm going to modify this question a little bit from Soren Sustro, apologize for butchering it, and I'm talking about version 4, rebuild the pads. I'd like to maybe take it a little different direction. We've got a pad going up at 39A, and we got others. Can you speak to what's going on there with the launch pads, what their status is, and how many do we think we're going to get down in Florida?
Yeah, so SpaceX has basically made this kind of design to be easily, in the biggest air quotes ever, easily transferable, copyable over to multiple launch sites. So they've built the first one at Starbase, which is Pad 2, and they've kind of duplicated that design over at Launch Complex 39A. And, you know, I'd say they're probably 6 months, half a year, give or take, behind the progress of Pad 2. We've seen them install the flame bucket, the launch mount, upgrade the tower, because of course the Starship Tower at Complex 39A was built years ago. I mean, originally they were going to build a version 1 style launch pad at 39A before, you know, SpaceX came to their senses and realized that they don't want a concrete tornado at the Kennedy Space Center as well as Starbase. So they paused on that for a few years, resumed construction with this new kind of Pad 2 clean slate design, and they have been making great progress. We've seen in recent weeks they've been spooling up the tank farm ever more often, getting that side of things ready, you know, actually getting things flowing. We've also seen them run the deluge system, or at least kind of the back end of the deluge system, at least once, I believe. So they're making good progress, even if they're a little bit rained out on this particular occasion. Not boding well at the moment for the CRS-34 launch later on today, but that's a topic for the next stream on NSF. But in addition to LC-39A, they're also working on 2 launch pads. One is actively under construction. The other one they've kind of cleared the land for at Space Launch Complex 37. There's a great view. Space Launch Complex 37. That was, of course, the former Delta IV pad, originally built for the Apollo era with the Saturn 1B. It was used with the Delta IV for many years and is now under the ownership of SpaceX. They are leasing that land to build 2 Starship launch pads. The first one, they have rolled the tower sections from their production site at the Kennedy Space Center called the Roberts Road facility. They've rolled out the tower sections for the first tower at Complex 37. They're preparing the land for the base, and they're starting to build up the base of that tower. And fingers crossed on our KST flyovers, we see some more hardware starting to populate soon, because of course they're going to need a new flame bucket, new launch mount, and all of the other good things that need to go with a Starship launch pad to build up Slick 37. So we are seeing great progress on one pad, you know, maybe half a year or so from coming online at 39A, and a couple more in development at 37.
Very cool. So more launch pads, more better. Yeah, keep an eye on our Space Coast Live from NSF. We do 24/7 over there. Lots of smart folks that can answer your questions that go in there. I gotta do this one here from Jay Narker. Just stopped in bed. Who's a dashing young lad on the camera? Well, that's Ryan and Alex. So thank you very much for noticing. All right. So, Alex, we'll start with this one from BRNRMDNT. Talking about reinforcements on the booster, can you speak to what kind of changes from the version 3? What reinforcements have they added to it?
I don't see any vertical reinforcements. I don't know if they're talking about stringers, but they have actually removed a bunch of those, especially on the top, because you can see there the truss section used to be just like the top of the booster will just be filled out with stringers all over the place outside. There are still some internal stringers, to be fair, but the dome kind of gives it a little bit of its own structural stability, and also the truss section. Let's be honest, triangles, those work best, and whatnot. But yeah, I would actually argue that you can see that there's actually fewer vertical reinforcements, which I'm guessing, again, they're talking about stringers. I don't see any other reinforcements that have been added, to be honest. Again, if not, they have actually done the opposite of removing a bunch of those, at least visually from the outside.
Yeah, it's not outside. I'm not sure if this counts as like a reinforcement, but that transfer tube is like a Falcon 9 inside that thing, isn't it?
Yeah. That one is a huge tube running through the middle of the liquid oxygen tank. That also adds a lot of structural stability that really helps. There we can see that tube. If you remember from Booster 18's explosion, it basically ruptured the oxygen tank, and it was still standing, right? The liquid oxygen tank had a big gaping hole on the side, and it was still standing. And why? Because this thing kept the methane tank still upright, basically. It was a bit crooked, but it was mostly standing. And that is really quite a nice change here as well, and probably in part why they were able to remove some of the reinforcements that I was talking about. You can see there actually the comparison to the other older boosters, because you can see the older boosters with the stringers on the top and everything that I was talking about, which we don't see now on version 3. They still have the reinforcements, of course, on the common dome. Those are still needed, but yeah, in fact, again, they have removed some of those.
Yeah, just incredible that they could have something that big is inside something that's even bigger. Ryan, I'm going to run this one by you, get your thoughts on the human landing system, Starships, and the progress going on that, because Artemis 3 is be coming up in 2027, and not only with SpaceX, with Origin progressing to that. Have we seen anything from HLS that any tidbits from SpaceX on what that might be and how they're doing?
Oh, I think I know what they meant with this question. Can I come back? So can we zoom in to that picture again that Kevin was just saying? Because I saw another reply. They're talking about the vertical welds. So you can see here, for each ring, you can see like a strip, and that's actually for the weld of the ring. They have not increased that. It's just that seemingly there's like more aligned rings nowadays, but those are there on the previous versions. It's just when they weld the ring, they sort of turn them into a ring. It's like a sheet of metal, and then they turn them into a ring. They weld that sort of overlap, and they put that reinforcement, and then each ring sort of has its own. And normally it's sort of like random, right? You rotate the ring one way or the other and things like that. On version 3, it just seems like they're more aligned, but you can see, for example, layer 1, the other. Each ring has it. The other is on the other side or on another location of the booster, but you can see that they're on basically each ring. Yeah, that's it. I got what they meant with the question. Sorry, Roger.
No, it's all great. More information. We appreciate that. So
let's get back. Answers for the price of one.
That's right. Hey, that's awesome. Though I always appreciate you guys. You guys are so smart and knowledgeable in this stuff. It's amazing the wealth of knowledge we have on the NSF team. It's I always learn something whenever I come on one of these things. So, Ryan, let's go back to the Human Landing System, HLS. Where do we stand with that? What are we seeing? I know there's like a nose going out there at Starbase. Is that even doing anything other than being pretty out there?
I would love to give you like a huge detailed rundown on how the human landing system is coming along, both for Starship and Blue Moon. But we have got so much information. No, I'm just kidding. We know basically nothing. I would love to be able to give you so many details, but SpaceX isn't giving us the details, and I'm hoping so much that they give us just a little something on launch day. Just a picture, SpaceX. All I want is a picture of how your HLS is coming along. I hope and I assume that there is stuff squirreled away at the back of the Star Factory. You know, HLS hardware hidden away, being worked in an office somewhere. They just haven't shared it with us. In terms of the timelines, I think, you know, kind of the middle of 2027 is still the target. There's some talk of it being the latter end of 2027. Let's be honest. If the classic aerospace timeline rules are to be applied, it's probably going to be in the latter part of 2027 than the former part. NASA is still looking to rendezvous with one, if not both, of those landers. Perhaps even docking with one of them and actually having the crew enter. That's also a possibility. They are still looking if they're going to be able to test the Axiom EVA spacesuits on that mission as well, which is of course another really crucial component for Artemis 4, the moon landing. You need a spacesuit to walk around on the moon, and they can't use their current intravehicular activity IVA suits, the orange suits which they use for launch and re-entry. So yeah, we did get confirmation today though from NASA, thank you Kevin for bringing this up, that they will be using the spacer, a spacer on the Space Launch System, try say that 10 times fast, than the interim cryogenic propulsion stage. So the ICPS is that converted delta cryogenic stage, which they are used for Artemis 1, Artemis 2, and they were going to be using for Artemis 3. They only have 3 of them, and after that they're going to be moving on to the Centaur 5 in this new reimagined standardized workflow for Artemis and the SLS, but they don't actually need that stage to get to low Earth orbit. If you didn't know, the SLS core stage and the SRBs offer plenty of delta V to get the Orion spacecraft into LEO, so they only need to use the Orion service module to do that. So they don't actually need an upper stage. So to save the upper stage, they're going to be using that spacer on Artemis 3 to go up to LEO and dock or with one or both of those landers. I'd love to give you more, but that's all we have. Again, please SpaceX, give us something. Please, I'm begging you. We want to see HLS.
Exactly what Ryan said. Oh, please, 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 please. I mean, I want to see the docking system. Is it going to, I would have, and again, this is total speculation on my part, you know, would be in the nose and they'd have something like a Dragon, you know, flip top on that. But we will see. And again, we're a lot of speculation. I'm sure the rumor mills are going hot and heavy out there. But yeah, well,
Alex is working on a video about how Starship fits into Artemis, aren't you?
Have I? Well, I mean, it's a short video. It's a rather short video for the live stream because, you know, Flight 12 might be the comeback of a few people that might have gone away for a while from spaceflight, right? As well as, you know, riding on the heels of Artemis 2, there might be some other people as well that might be watching that launch and they don't know anything about HLS. So it's sort of trying to condense some of the specific design features of HLS and also the really important things like how important it is, Flight 12, towards HLS. Because as Ryan was saying earlier in the show today, they cannot be just, you know, blowing ships over the Turks and Caicos, right? It's like they really need to get.
Well, they can't this time. They've got a new trajectory. They're going to be blowing up over the Cayman Islands instead. So they're targeting a different British overseas territory this time around.
Point for you. But what I mean with this is that they cannot afford to really mess this thing up, right? And so this is the really important thing where it's like Flight 12 is really important for HLS to work on time. It's not that these challenges are never going to be solved, right? Because if there's a company out there that can solve really tough challenges, it's SpaceX. The problem is solving them on time to both beat the Chinese, because the U.S. is in a race with China. Whether I agree with that or not, it's a whole different thing. And then they're also in a race with Blue Origin as the contractor for the lunar lander for Artemis. So there's really this pressure for this mission to work. And of course subsequent missions as well, but this one is sort of proving out new pad, new version of the ship, new version of the booster, new engines, right? It's like all new things, and this is why pretty much the entirety of the flight profile is by all means just like Flight 11, right? It's the same thing as we're seeing here, but with a new version. Like, let's see if the new things can repeat, and not only just repeat, but also make it better than the previous version, right? I really want to see a ship like Ship 39. Really, this is cool, right? I want to see that, and I want to see in the future that in like in the background at the bottom there's like South Padre Island, right? Like that's the sort of thing, and it's approaching the tower and landing on the chopsticks, and that's going to enable them to be able to launch more frequently, which for refueling flights, it's a really important thing for Artemis, right? They need 15, 20 tankers or whatever. That is really important, and so that's the video, what the video is about. It's a very short video, much shorter than this answer.
We'll definitely be looking forward to that. I want to thank some people here while we got the chance. We got Nathaniel. Got a store message. See what you got. Looks like I got a patch. Patches are cool. Thanks for the years of coverage. Been here since early tank launching days. Well, thank you. Appreciate you sticking around and being with us. We've been witnessing so much history here. Got Jerwa. Hi, Jerwa. Jerwa with a $50 tip. Thank you, Jerwa. You're always very generous. We do appreciate all your support. Been around for a long time with us, and appreciate that. And hi, excited launch waving. Amaze. We got Jimmy with the store message. Looks like got a patch, if I'm reading this right. Cheers, NSF team. Go Flight 12. Yep, we're going to do our best for you. Blue Cashier 7736 with a $2.50 euro super chat. How much taller can Starship and Super Heavy get before SpaceX increases the diameter? Has a wider spaceship been confirmed? I mean, way back in the way, this is like 4 years ago. Elon made one passing comment about an 18 meters ship. And I was waiting for that thing to die. Is it possible? I guess it is. Ryan, do you think they could go wider? Because that's going to mean changing all the infrastructure out. So I don't see it happening anytime in the near future.
I think an 18-meter Starship is about as far away as, a permanent civilization on the outer moons of Neptune. I think it's going to happen, just not in the next, tangible future. I think it's going to be something far down the line. It also raises the point of how big do you need your big rocket to be? Because Starship can already loft a lot of stuff into space, and we're going to have off-world manufacturing, and very out of the scope of this show. But yeah, I think it will probably happen. A wider ship, a wider vehicle for that matter, but a long way in the future.
Sorry, guys, I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. So I think we've got some breaking news, don't we, Mr. Kevin? Coming up. Looks like we have some new notice to airmen, some NOTAMs that have come out. Ryan, what do you make of this?
Yep, so it looks like we have got some new air hazards for the aircraft, of course, starting on May 19th. So sticking with that May 19th date that SpaceX has been officially targeting now for 24 hours or so. I see this one is just between Cuba and Jamaica. So this is continuing to build out all of the different notices we have for the launch portion of flight. Because, of course, there are lots of different countries, lots of different airspaces that need to be closed off. Countries, of course, in their own domestic airspace, control those and put out the hazard areas. So it looks like more NOTAMs arriving for launch on May 19th, still looking at that 22:30 Universal Time launch window. So that's pretty exciting. More things targeting the 19th.
Very good. And we've got Luke, got a store message. See what you got. T-shirt, it looks like. Oh, yeah, cool T-shirts. Yeah, the merch from our store is just awesome, guys. It's not just that I'm pushing the merch. The quality of the stuff is just it's great. Once you get it, the material, and they do a lot. Lindsay and I know Doss gets involved with this, looking at the actual quality. We try not to put out garbage type, merch and the shirts and the cups and things like that. And so you're listening from the UK. Appreciate that. We get folks from all over the world, and that's the cool thing about going down to Starbase. You get to meet people from all over the world that go down there. It's a pilgrimage. It's such a cool place to be. I think shout out to Jack, our good buddy. Put it as it's a music festival with rockets. It's just so chill and just amazing to go down there. We got Anonymous with a store message. Ooh, a heavy merch. Is that a hat? Hopefully, you don't need that too soon. Hello, NASA SpaceX flight. Now, how many Starship rockets are flying this launch day? Well, Ryan, I'm going to ask you this question. We have a launch coming up right after this, don't we?
We do indeed. We have CRS-34 coming up in 1 hour and 2 and a bit minutes time. And I'm going to be on that stream. So at this point, I'm going to bid everyone farewell, because I need to go and talk on that stream in 2 minutes time. Bye, everyone.
Very good, Ryan. We'll be looking forward to that. Again, that's going to be a cargo ship going back to the space station, so much looking forward towards that.
How long do I have to wait for?
Kevin's doing this on purpose.
The Queen Wave. Oh, so much fun. And we got Jeff Rowe. Thank you very much. Jeff, one of our regulars, gifting Red Team membership. So if you got that, please give Jeff a shout out there. Alex, some latest development maybe you can talk to. SpaceX has just bought property in Louisiana. Do we have any indication on what that is and what they could be doing with that?
Yeah, they're in that process right now. They confirmed yesterday that they are indeed looking towards that. They always have different options, and that one seems to be currently, at least publicly, the one that is furthest ahead, if you will, right? So we'll see what happens with that. Whether we'll put a camera or not, we'll think about that. Of course, I'm not speaking officially for NSF, but I will say that. You know already how we roll, so I will not be surprised.
Yeah, that's for sure. And kind of going, you may have covered this earlier, and from Gingag Age, I apologize, about the flaps. Hoping they survive better. Do you know if what improvements or what changes have gone into those flaps for Flight 12 and the version 3s?
As far as I know, they're pretty much the same. Like one of the many things that have not changed is the flaps. Their shape and structure and everything are very much the same. Their actuators have changed. That's a fancy thing that they added on the updates yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? I don't remember now when it was. But SpaceX talked about that they simplified and also added redundancies on the actuators. But the flaps themselves, the actual thing that moves, it really hasn't changed that much. There is, for this flight, more tile tests, just like we saw for previous flights, where they have put many more test of tiles on the leeward side. So on the side that does not hit the plasma, basically. But other than that, they're very much the same. I don't expect them to be any sort of different in that sense.
Very good. Okay, we're coming near the end here. Just a quick question here, Jasper wondering about Hawaiian shirts. I don't know. Our shop team is always working on new stuff, always cool stuff. They come out with things like the pins that came out recently. If you don't know about this, there's pins for every launch coming out now, some special ones out there, so you can collect them all. And on the Hawaiian shirts, I had a family get together. I bought all my family Hawaiian shirts. We went out to dinner and NSF Hawaiian shirts, and that was the bomb. So anyway, I think that's going to be it for this countdown to launch. We thank you all for being here. First to Ryan, thanks for being here, Ryan. Looking forward to, and stay tuned for the coverage of CRS flight coming up here. It'll be on a separate stream. Empty chair. Invisible guy. Anyway, and Alex, always a pleasure. You're always great on these streams, always so knowledgeable, and thank you very much.
Yeah, and the drill. We'll keep doing this as we go. I believe tomorrow might hear you on a Raptor side, right? at 2 p.m. Central on Starbase Live. We'll also have that as well running 24/7. We'll probably have another count to launch a little bit closer to the launch as well. Friday, TFT, Flame Trench. That'll be a Starship special, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with the Raptor sites on Starbase Live, usually Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central, unless something major is going on, we just get together. It's kind of a round table. We're sitting around talking rockets with you. We take your questions. Happy to talk. It's pretty much low key. A lot of times Chris Bergen will come on. He'll give you an update as far as what's been happening recently since the last one. So look forward to those. And again, shout out to our SPL ops and all our camera ops at all our streams. They do such a great job bringing you this stuff 24/7. We got our camera crews down there, Gage, Caesar, Max is down there, and Colleen that are getting preps ready. I mean, there's so much work happening behind the scenes for this stuff. And finally, I would be remiss if I don't so shout out to my buddy, Kevin Michael Reed, for always producing these things. I don't know how you do it, dude, and when you sleep, but it's much, much appreciated. And with that, I'm Roger Smith. Thanks for putting up with me for this countdown to launch. My first one. Hope it wasn't too bad. Hope you had fun. I sure did. So take care, everybody. Talk to you next time.
And here we go.
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, that sure looks like a perfect flow.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
We did have an observation.
Equalizer.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center. Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No! Oh my God.
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.